Campbell has defended her reputation in an interview, saying, "When people asked me why I was so tricky, it was what I had to do. Pushing it was a way of life as a black woman. I've been the only person of colour in the room many times. In New York, I couldn't even get a cab." Now, Jude, you obviously interviewed her recently. I mean, what do you make about the comments from this weekend?
You know, look, I totally agree with regards to knowing that it can be difficult, and I think meeting her. There's all those rumours of, oh, you know, she can be tricky, she can be this. But I think as a black woman in the industry, in society, we face things that other people of different cultural backgrounds and ethnicity don't face. And we know that, and that's why we made history. Do you know what I'm saying? We know this because of what blocks or what stuff is in front of us, or why we always have to be worried about what we say, how we say it. And sometimes you have to put your foot down, but you worry if there's going to be a consequence. You worry about how you say things. And it's upsetting, you know, even when we was talking about it, it makes me emotional, because you know that this is not... There's changes that's being made, but there's so much other things that needs to happen so that people still don't feel like this. But, you know, I understand regards to her being labelled. I understand regards to the difficulties, and what I want people to kind of understand. Someone said to me the other day, oh, you know, it's not everything aspect of your life you have to quote that you're black or it's different. No, because when I walk in the room, you see me black first, and then you see me as a woman. Every aspect of my life, being black, has an implication regards to whether it's dating, whether it's a job, whether I go into a bank, whether I buy a house. There is always a perception of who I am, or a judgment, or a stereotype, and I'm constantly fighting that. And whether it's on TV, they might see you on TV, but off TV, I've got black children.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a society that has me in a box already. So you do have that moment of where you worry that you're going to be tricky, or you have to put your foot down.
No, I mean, is it worried that you're going to be tricky, or worried that people will see your behaviour as being
worry
tricky?
As see
because
your
I
behaviour.
wouldn't call, you know, my behaviour in certain situations as being tricky. It's me being assertive and standing up for myself.
Yeah.
And in situations, as you say, you can walk, you know, any one of the four of us can walk into a room, and I could be the most intelligent person in the room, I could be the most qualified person in the room. You're not seeing any of those things. You're seeing that I'm a black woman first, and you are already passing judgment on who I am.
Exactly.
And when you've got someone like Naomi, who was a trailblazer and has been for decades, she has pushed the door open for so many other women, black women in that industry. But she had to deal with a lot that perhaps a newer generation doesn't have to deal with, because she blazed that trail.
Yeah.
And as a result, she's had to be labelled and put up with being labelled as so diva, difficult to work with, tricky, all these things, and labels that aren't necessarily attributed to other supermodels of that era.
Exactly.
Who are perhaps behaving in exactly the same way.
Exactly.
What do you reckon, babe?
I reckon I'm tricky, and I don't mind being tricky. And as you get to know me, the less trickier I get.
I don't think you're
That's
tricky.
it.
I don't think you're tricky.
I don't think you're tricky.
I'm tricky, yeah.
I don't think you're tricky.
I think you're support.
Well, I love that. I've been called tricky so many times, so I'll just take it.
And how do you react
You're
when someone calls you
supportive.
tricky?
Well, I just take it that they don't really know me, as you say, they're reading something from before I even open up my mouth. They think I'm tricky, or, you know, hard to get on with, or awkward, or aggressive, or whatever. I'm not really bothered, so just tell me what you want, you know.
And all of us, we're sort of, you know, in our different ways, blazing a trail, which does make life slightly easier, I would argue, for those that come after us.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also feel that there needs to be balance. So I don't tolerate rudeness from anybody. I just don't think it's acceptable. I think manners cost nothing, and being polite to everybody, whether it's the runner or the director, that costs you nothing, and you should be polite. That's me. So... And I think there are ways of getting your point across without being rude or, you know, or making somebody else feel bad to get your point across. You can be diplomatic. You can say things in a way that you can make your point without crushing somebody else on the way to doing that. And I also think that us in our position, we have a responsibility in that, because if a younger person sees me behaving in that way, they are going to then think that that's acceptable.
Yes.
It's not.
Well,
period.
Can I just say, I have seen you being assertive. I mean, in the most... She will kill you in a really soft way, and it's like the pastor's wife. She will tell you about herself with much love and then pray for you.
Yeah. Bring on
being on the wrong side of Kelle is not the place to be at all. Right, it's also